This year, the Ecumenical Center for Pastoral Integration, Ceipa, is celebrating 20 years in the struggle to achieve respect and fulfillment of the rights of child and adolescent laborers in the city of Quetzaltenango, located in the southwestern region of Guatemala. Ceipa began in 1989, in the final stages of a 30-year internal armed conflict, during the process of dialogue and negotiation that eventually led to the signing of the peace accords in 1996. Ceipa's original purpose was to provide support for children orphaned as a result of the war, but soon discovered that in Quetzaltenango, an even greater problem was with children who had to work on the streets and in the marketplaces from a very early age, in order to support themselves and their families. Most of the jobs done by children and adolescents present a real threat to their physical and emotional well-being. They are exposed to verbal, physical, psychological, and sexual abuse, in addition to labor exploitation. They do not have the opportunity to be children, to play and go to school. Malnutrition, deficient living conditions, and work responsibilities well beyond their age severely limit their human development and life perspectives. In the beginning, we began to talk to children, shoeshine boys, street vendors, car washers, domestic help, and others, all of whom expressed that their greatest desire was to be able to go to school, but in order to have enough money to eat, they had to work during school hours. Many had started school and dropped out. Some had learned to read. Others had never been to school. So we were faced with a group of children who were over age for their grade level. The big question was how to begin to address the desires and needs of streetwise children, some from the city and some from rural areas, some Spanish speakers and some of the Maya Quiche and Maya Mam language group. In addition, we were faced with the question of how to involve girls in educational programs, as cultural beliefs still maintain that educating girls is a waste of time and resources. And on top of all this, create an alternative that would somehow be certifiable under Ministry of Education standards. Thus, our search began for educational methodology that could work for them. We tried official traditional methods and others designed by institutions working with the same type of children, but all were based on traditional banking education that was closed, inflexible, discriminatory, and that ended up killing creativity and frustrating the children, all of whom had exceptional life experience on which to build and very special educational needs. In 1990, we met Steve Barrett, who introduced us to whole language and opened up a whole new horizon of possibilities we had not even imagined. We began to implement initiatives in the marketplaces and street corners of the city and marveled daily at the way boys and girls learned to read, write, and do basic arithmetic, not only in Spanish, but in the Maya Quiche and Maya Mam languages, without becoming martyrs of the traditional education system. We soon realized the enormous possibilities that whole language offered as a new world of educational experience began for us and the children. Thus, we began the struggle for accreditation with the Ministry of Education. Ministry concerns centered around the fulfillment of official curriculum requirements, on the basis of the assurance that our children would be sufficiently prepared to pass any test. We were granted experimental status in 1996. Since then, we have been certifying primary grades 1 through 6 and recently began a junior high program that covers grades 7 through 9. In 20 years, Ceipa has contributed to the educational process of thousands of working children through a variety of educational alternatives that include insertion of school-age children in the formal system, accelerated education for overage children, scholastic reinforcement for children enrolled in public schools, vocational training for adolescents, training in organization and political participation, and the development of values and abilities that will hopefully permit working children to participate in the construction of their own future and that of Guatemala. Presently, Ceipa is in the process of creating an educational model for child and adolescent laborers, the final goal being to accredit and officialize the model so that all child and adolescent laborers may have the right to education.